Good morning, everybody. I would like to call to order the July 20th, 2023 TPA Governing Board meeting. Staff, if you could please call the roll so that we can establish our quorum.
At this time, I am only asking those board members attending in person to respond by saying here when I call your name. As a reminder, you can unmute your microphones by pushing the button on the base prior to responding. Alternates, please also state your name if you are attending on behalf of a TPA board representative. Steve Wilson.
Here.
Yvette Drucker. Here. Fran Nacklis. Here. Angela Cruz. Shelley Petrolia. Joel Flores.
Here.
Jim Koretsky. Ronaldo Diaz.
Here.
Joni Brinkman.
Here.
DeAndre Poole.
Here.
Greg Wise. Marcy Woodward. Maria Sachs. Mac Bernard. Shirley Lanier. Fred Pinto.
Here.
Michael Napoleon.
Here.
Christy Fox.
Here.
Joseph Paduzzi. Maria Marino. Chelsea Reed.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ruth. Do we have anyone who would like to participate remotely today?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you so much. Well done. All right, so we do have a quorum. I do want to thank everybody who RSVP'd ahead and those who were able to make it today to assure that we had quorum. We really appreciate that. Since we, for my board that is here, do we have any objections to, we don't have any remote participants, so never mind, we can't object. So we're going to go forward. We're going to say the pledge, and Mayor Wilson, will you please lead us in invocation?
Let us pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, we come before you once again with bowed heads and humble hearts. Thank you, as always, for your grace and your mercy. Realizing, Father, that over and over again, that through your grace and your mercy, you've been better to us than we've been to ourselves. And with that, we say thank you. Thank you, Father, for hope and comfort today. Father, we ask you to continue to strengthen us with your spirit so that we can encourage mankind each and every day. Father, we realize that sometimes the background noise of life in this world is a challenge, which oftentimes pull our attention away from you and hinder the time we should be spending with you. Help us to find a time where we can come away from it all and simply enjoy your wonderful presence. Father, it's always good to know that it's you that we can always depend and rely on. So forgive us when we lose sight of that from day to day. And finally, Father, we ask a special blessing for the chairperson of this meeting. You know our heart, Father, and all of us whom you have allowed to be assembled here today, realizing that we're no strangers to each other, just perhaps friends we have not yet met. We give you all the praises and the glory. And the people said, amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Madam Chair, we also like to say happy birthday to our CEO here. And soon to be tomorrow, happy birthday to our.
That's right.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That was it was a wonderful invocation. And yes, we are not going to sing. We'll spare everybody, especially because we have a lot of microphones here. So we'll keep it simple. All right. Do we have any modifications to our agenda today, Ruth?
Yes, Madam Chair, staff is requesting to add item 1G4C to include the appointment of Royal Palm Beach CAC representative Harleen Kennedy. An updated agenda has been provided to the board.
Okay, excellent. So hopefully everyone's had a moment to review that update to the agenda, which I think is absolutely great. We have a really full citizens advisory now. And thank you to Harleen Kennedy for stepping up and reaching out to the TPA as well. So I'm looking for a motion to adopt this modified agenda, please.
Second.
All right, I have a first and a second. So we have Mayor Pinto for my move and my Mayor Flores for the second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Moving along, any instructions on public comment have been provided in our agenda. Have we received any general comments today?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So we're going to move right along. At this time, I am opening it up to any of our board members for comments for things that are not currently on our agenda. We don't have anyone participating remotely, but if we do, let me know and put a card up, please, over there. And if you would be so kind, put up your card here, turn on your microphone when you're speaking, and be sure to turn it off when you're done. And I see Commissioner Fox has her card up.
Thank you so much. I see that this will also be on the executive director's report, but I just wanted to briefly let everyone know that the city of West Palm Beach last week received an $8 million raise grant from the federal government. It was something that we actually applied for last year and we didn't get it. And we looked at the application and decided we could try again. It's going to be for actually one of my neighborhoods, the Roosevelt Estates neighborhood, which is something I've been working for 3 years to get different grants for them for road work, for sidewalk improvements, for traffic calming, signage, traffic signals. They're a bit left behind and it's some work that's really overdue. So I'm so excited. I want to thank you, Valerie, for helping and helping us secure this grant and including letters of support. We also couldn't have done it without Wen Deng, who I think many of us know. She is on our one of our boards here, and her firm helped us to write the grant, to get the signatures we needed from the residents, and to take pictures to make sure that the government knew how desperately needed this was. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone involved and just very exciting news. That's it. Thank you.
All right, that is exciting. And thank you for all of your efforts, especially for helping folks with grants. Hello. All right, Mayor Petrolia has joined us as well. I know Ruth is noting that. Thank you so much. Anything else? Anyone else have anything they want to say, share? Councilmember Drucker, whose birthday is tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Just wanted to say, I traveled a couple weeks ago and I took the Tri-Rail into the Miami airport, and I kind of wanted to plug that because what an experience that was. It was so easy. I live in Boca Raton, obviously. I took the Yamato at the Yamato station, just got on the Tri-Rail, went all the way to where it leaves you at the Metro Mover. You do a quick turnover, like you just walk over there. And then I was at my terminal in an hour and 18 minutes. The cars were clean. The staff was so friendly. Obviously they didn't know who I was. I talked to them after. And I just wanted to plug that if you're going to like Miami Airport from even from Palm Beach, there was a lot of people coming from Palm Beach on our rail car. So that was good. I would highly encourage you to take Tri-Rail down to Miami Airport. It was a really nice experience.
All right, thank you for sharing that. We love hearing about when people are finding other ways to get around. I don't see any other cards up. If you'd indulge me, I just have one thing, which is on August 17th, our TPA staff has pulled together bringing FDOT here to answer some of the questions that came up during previous meetings. Normally, August is an off date for our staff and for the TPA. We don't usually have a meeting, so I want to thank staff for making that happen. I know it's one more thing that you hadn't counted on doing, so we appreciate it. But my only request is that since the board has asked this to occur, please come that day. All right, especially the folks that were very, very concerned about things happening through FDOT and their initiatives in our state for the bridges, for roadways and paving. That was the issue. So if that's something that you brought up, please be here for sure. Even if you didn't, I think we'll all learn something from that. Okay, so moving on, we're going to go right to our executive director's report. Valerie Nielsen, if you would share with us your report for today.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the birthday wishes, and thank you, Chair Reed, for encouraging everyone to attend our workshop. I wanted to highlight that in front of you is our fiscal year 2023 annual report. We work on the fiscal year starting July 1st through June 30th. So we're now in fiscal year 24. This is a recap highlighting all some of the things that we achieved over this past year. And it's also available on our website, palmbeachtpa.org/annual report. So please review it. And I want to thank staff, especially Melissa, who worked really hard on it and made it look, and it was completely done in-house. So it looks really nice, and we're really proud of it. Also wanted to mention that, and also thanks, Melissa, our PR team has been working on how to ride videos. So last year we did mobility options video highlighting different ways to get around in Palm Beach County. And this fiscal year 23, we dug a little deeper and did a how to ride video for each of those modes. So you can actually watch a brief video and see what the experience is like to try Tri-Rail, Palmtran, Bike Share, Brightline, local circulators, all at palmbeachtpa.org/mobility. Also, last month we did a transit survey. It wasn't a statistically significant survey. It was just a survey that we put out there to see what people thought. And we had almost 200 people respond. And so thank you for everyone who participated. If you'd like to see those results, they're available at our website, palmbeachtpa.org/transit. In general, people, a lot of the people who rode, there were some that rode transit sometimes, most did not ride it, and they said they would ride it if we had frequent and reliable direct transit service. So it was a good, just kind of fun survey we put out there, but great to hear that kind of feedback as well. And also the times that they would need it were, the responses we got were basically times of getting to work. So between 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. were the desires that people said that they wanted it most. Also, we've completed several walk bike safety audits. So thank you for our board members who participated in those recently. We did several around the county, and those are done to be able to identify improvements that can be made, and potentially, hopefully, our local municipalities can apply for us for funding for those improvements in our next round. Those can be found at palmbeachtpa.org/audit. And staff is working on creating summaries of those and sharing them with those participants, those local municipalities and the stakeholders so we can move those improvements forward. We're still doing our safety pledge online at palmbeachtpa.org/vision0, or if you want to sign it, it's on our sign-in table. We're getting close to 200 of those. So thank you to everyone who's already signed one, encouraging everyone to be safe while on our roadways. As Commissioner Fox mentioned, congratulations on your RAISE grant. There's only a few awarded here in the state. So really proud of West Palm Beach. We're happy to have provided a letter of support, $8.1 million to fund mobility improvements in the historically disadvantaged Roosevelt Estates community through the RAISE grant program. So very exciting very exciting for that. Also, South Florida Regional Transportation Authority, or Tri-Rail, they were also recently awarded a grant that the TPA supported for $71.7 million to replace 24 Tri-Rail vehicles. We're really excited about that. And there's actually going to be a press release next Monday at the West Palm Beach Tri-Rail station at 10:30 a.m. if anyone wants to join. We're really excited for that huge award. And really congratulate them. Excited to have new vehicles. And even though the current experience was fantastic, as Councilmember Drucker highlighted, we're excited to have new vehicles as well. And just a reminder, there's a lot of grant opportunities, discretionary grant opportunities right now, and to check them out at the USDOT Grant Navigator. Mayor Reed mentioned our performance measures and targets workshop. Please RSVP for that. That's going to be August 17th here at the TPA at 9 a.m. when we would normally have a meeting, but that's one of our off months. So we're having that meeting with FDOT representatives here to talk about the National Highway System performance measures. And also the second part of the workshop, we'll talk about some of our performance measures for our long-range transportation plan update. And finally, really encouraging everyone to, if you can, pursue a bicycle-friendly community designation. The application deadline is August 30th. So thank you very much.
That was a great update. All right. Does anyone on my board here have any questions regarding our executive director's report? All right, moving right along. Time for our action items. We're going to go right into our fiscal year 24 strategic plan. If I could have Andrew come up for our TPA Director of Programs to present on this item, please. One second. All right. I did not pass the consent agenda, so I'm looking for a motion and a second to pass the consent agenda. So, all right, all set.
Motion by Mayor Wilson and
And then seconded by Vice Mayor Napoleon, who's got my back today. So thank you very much, sir. Yes, right. That's why you're here. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So our first action item today is the strategic plan. This is for fiscal year 2024. So we have a 2-year unified planning work program. We're currently just finished up fiscal year 23. It's now started in 24, and the UPWP is lays out our planning activities and administrative activities as an agency. What the strategic plan does is it's an annual plan that really focuses our attention a little bit more in that UPWP to align with our mission and vision. On your table, you'll see the handout for the fiscal year 23 annual report. It does highlight a lot of the items that were in the strategic plan last year, and a few other accomplishments over the past year. It's also available on our website. You can get it at the strategic plan page. And in that report, you'll see some of the highlights. I'll mention a few exciting ones for us this past year. We had 16 proclamations for Florida Bicycle Month. We have 15 projects that are currently under construction. So those are priorities by our local agencies and FDOT that are under construction right now. You'll see a few highlights in there, photos of those projects that are under construction, and maybe a few that are have been completed. 6 new municipalities adopted Vision Zero resolutions and are working towards safety in their communities. And then we supported 14 applications for discretionary grants at the federal level. And then we're going to head into the draft for fiscal year 2024. This draft has been seen by the executive committee that met on June 27th, and then it's been seen by our committees, and now it's up for approval for you all today. And in the strategic plan, it is formatted just like our unified planning work program. So it goes goal by goal. The first one being engage the public, goal 1. And I'm really just going to highlight some of the newer items. You'll see strike through and underline for products that are for activities that are being taken out or ones that are being added in. Those ones that are struck through, those may be ones that were just one-time only initiatives, or there might be ones that we are now including as regular tasks in our planning activities. So again, engage the public, the first goal. I'm just going to go through some main new highlights. The first one is 1B, increase social media engagement. So switching our measure to our total users reached. We reached our goal last year for followers and impressions, but a more effective measure for us is total users reached on our social media engagement platforms. Right now, I think we're hovering this past year, a little over 100,000. So the goal is 125 users on those platforms. Next is 1C, and this is to update our About Us video. We currently have an About Us video that's probably 5 years old or so. This freshens up that video with more alignment with a lot of the marketing materials we have now, and just newer overall photos and video. Next is plan the system. And there's 3 new ones here. Well, the first one's really just a refinement. It's still an ongoing one. This is an effort that's taken multiple years and will culminate with our long-range transportation plan that will be adopted at the end of next year. And this is to collaborate with partner agencies to create a countywide mobility vision and funding plan. So that's in line with our call for projects and additional activities we're doing towards a mobility vision here in Palm Beach County. And we'll be adopting that final plan for LRTP next year. Next, in regards to the our safety field reviews for pedestrians and bicyclists, we accomplished 5 of those last year. Working with our staff, they had some ideas about how we can make that more effective. We all are also getting a lot of requests for those. So what we're looking to do this year is create a formal process for selecting and conducting those, so they can be a little more streamlined and a little bit more priority when it comes to how much time we have a staff dedicated to those. And then the last one for Plan the System is to create a speed management action plan. So we've already adopted a Vision Zero action plan. One of the items that are specific in that plan relates to a speed management action plan. And what that does is really, it focuses attention on those high injury, high crash roadways we have in our county. And it determines what the appropriate speed of that roadway should be. So a target speed based on the context for those communities. And then it designs those roadways based on that speed and has other mechanisms, countermeasures to ensure speed is maintained there. So enforcement, education, it's a whole well-rounded effort when it comes to that. But it's a really a focus on speed, which is one of the greatest contributions to severity of our crashes on the roadways. Next is goal 3, prioritize funding. The first one is to update our TPA funding programs, and we're looking to revise these funding programs. Right now, we have state road modifications, local initiatives, and transportation alternatives. In the next agenda item for adoption today, you'll see the amount of products we have that are unfunded that still need to be funded. So we have a backlog of priorities there to get funded. This is also a good time to update these programs as we are updating our long-range plan. So we have new revenue projections. So this is a great time to look at our goals, objectives, priorities, reevaluate scoring, and these funding programs as we move forward to be more effective and in line with our vision. One other one I wanted to mention here is 1C, pursue discretionary grants for TPA priorities. So we do have all those priorities that are some of them still unfunded. And we're looking to ensure that we can apply for some discretionary grants, working with our locals through TPA staff to get more submittals to achieve these grants at the federal level. Next is implement projects. The first one is to identify resurfacing products to incorporate complete streets improvements. So working with DOT, who gives us a list early on of resurfacing jobs that are coming up in outer years. We look to partner with our locals to determine if there's additional community needs that can be integrated into those complete streets improvements or into those resurfacing jobs, such as complete streets improvements. So looking to have 3 products identified to tack on to those resurfacing projects. Then goal 5, collaborate with partners. First change here is a new one for 5C, create a model transportation demand management policy, a TDM policy. We've had requests from local jurisdictions to start instituting a transportation demand management in their communities. So what this is really looking at travel within in and out of their cities, and find additional transportation options to relieve congestion in those communities. It's a whole series of different tools and incentives to do that, both in the private and public sector. So that's looking to have a model transportation demand management policy that can be rolled out and can be used for all the municipalities who are looking to do those. Next is to conduct site visits to learn more about partner agencies. 2 site visits is our outcome here for fiscal year 2024. And we've had a lot of site visits, similar ones to that. And we've had tours last year of different partners here in the county. But these site visits are really more focused towards some of our partner agencies throughout the state, potentially, to go and see maybe it's their transit facilities and a TOD development in Orlando on Sunrail, or some other place throughout the state to visit those partner agencies. And then our last goal is administer the agency. So these are all of our administrative and financial tasks that we do as an agency. The first one is 6B, and this is to implement a consolidated accounting system. So working with our finance team, Valerie's working with them on ways that we can be more effective in our streamlining of our accounting, make it a more timely process in our reporting to the state. So that's working towards that accounting system. Next one is to streamline agency services and benefits. So looking for ways to maintain our current benefits for our employees and look around for cost-effective means of doing that. Training and succession plan, which is 6D. So one of our Office of Attorney General recent random audit that we received, one of their recommendations was to have a succession plan in place for staff and for training as well. So looking to get that completed for fiscal year 2024. And those are the main updates. We'd love to take any questions.
Thank you so much. You covered quite a lot very quickly. That was well done. All right. Anyone have a comment, anything they want to say? Do we have any public comments?
No, Madam Chair.
All right. How about for the board? Any questions, comments as we look at the strategic plan? A few things were changed, updated, otherwise? Okay, I actually have 2. So if no one else wants to speak, I might ask my 2 quick questions. So for goal 2C, from Vision Zero to the Speed Management Action Plan, There are so many roadways that this could be well implemented on. And if I were to open my email for my city email, that would I wish I could share this and say, here's a solution. So can you within, a quick 30-minute overview as to what this could look like as a tool for the board and other elected officials to utilize?
Sure. So it could be on state and county roadways. Most of our higher injury network, if you were to focus attention just on those are the ones that are some of our bigger arterials, right? So higher speeds. And what this plan does is there's multiple countermeasures that are in the Florida Design Manual when it comes to maintaining target speeds. And so what this would do is the first step is setting a target speed for those communities. Based on the context. Sometimes that's a range. And what's been found is a lot of times when you're setting a context for a roadway, the range might be, 30 miles to 45 miles an hour, right? So, and a lot of times it typically is the 45 miles an hour. It's on the higher end of that range. So it's really first addressing what is the appropriate speed first. And then there is like a toolbox of countermeasures that are proven that you can do to incorporate on that roadway. And then the other portion is integrating the other, ease of safety. So enforcement, education.
All right, excellent. I'm excited about that initiative. I think that's a really positive change and also want to laud the TPA's work on Vision Zero too. So great job. And my other question was goal 4, action A, utilizing resurfacing as an opportunity for a local municipality to have a positive effect on a roadway as it's resurfaced, right? So Prosperity Farms is the first thing that comes to my mind in my neighborhood. There's resurfacing coming up and they've been encouraged, and it looks like it's going to happen that they'll be putting in bike lanes because of the resurfacing. So it's something that is going to hopefully change lives and save lives. So I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's something we should all keep an eye on. We don't always have control over our state roads and our county roads when you're in a municipality, but this is an opportunity to take something that's already going to happen for very little expense and add something that residents are asking for. But Andrew, is there anything you want to add to what I just said about that, or what people could do on our board or otherwise?
Sure. I mean, it's, when those products, a lot of your municipalities are already working with FDOT when it comes to those roadways. I know Prosperity is a county roadway, but there's been successes. For example, Lake Worth Beach, State Road 5. They've been resurfacing portions of that the state has, and there's been a lot of traffic calming needs out there, and FDOT was able to look at those and incorporate those. So they have more speed humps, pedestrian signals that are being incorporated in these projects.
That's great. And I think those are success stories, right? So we all, I'm sure on this board and beyond, are frustrated by things that happen in transportation in our county, but moments like that are things that I think we need to count the happy things that happen. So thank you. All right. So if I don't see any other cards, I have a card. I have a card. Okay. Commissioner Diaz.
I think that's a great point to make. And these opportunities, whenever we talk about resurfacing, I always love to bring up also the importance of the opportunity you get. It's not often you're going to break up a road or resurface it. And when you get to that point, you always have an opportunity to address the underground infrastructure. And, this is an El Nino year. You notice it's a little bit rainy. In April, Fort Lauderdale got the extreme test where they got 26 inches in 24 hours. And I know every single one, every municipality at this table now, you at least have one block where you're walking through ankle deep water when it rains. And whenever you have a resurfacing project, it should be an opportunity to look at how do you fix those other concerns like stormwater management and all the undergrounding that needs to happen and things like that.
Good point. All right. Thank you. Vice Mayor Brinkman.
Just following up on that was one of the items we were able to take advantage of with the Lake Worth Road resurfacing project, because the village worked with FDOT to improve drainage. And we rolled that into the project, a drainage project. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind besides just, the bike lanes and things. So you don't have to rip stuff up later, just as Mr. Diaz said.
All right. Excellent points. Thank you, guys. All right. I don't see any other cards. Yes,
I
Andrew.
apologize, Madam Chair. I'm sure FDOT would like me to tell you this, that it is important to get out in front of these, right? So a lot of times when they are programming resurfacing, it really is just for that surface treatment for maintenance. And so if we wait until design has already started, it's really difficult for them to change the budget on that, because a lot of these, treatments can cost a good amount of money. So if we get out ahead of it years in advance, we can then work with them to get that money programmed earlier on.
And you provide that to us every time we have a meeting. So we have that list available from the TPA at all times. So everyone, I do sometimes forget to look at it. And so then I saw my checklist again to take a look at it every single time to really, really go through my backup and look at everything that you're providing, because it's right there for us to take advantage of. So thank you. Anything else? All right, good stuff. So I'm seeking a motion to approve fiscal year 24 strategic plan, please.
Second.
So, okay, I've got, sounded like Mayor Flores and then Mayor Pinto for my second, please. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Andrew. You may as well stay right there, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to move on to our fiscal year 25 to 29 list of priority projects. So we've got Andrew here again, our TPA Deputy Director of Programs, presenting on this item as well.
Okay, so this is the draft fiscal year 25 through 29 list of priority projects. Melissa Murray is handing out not one of them, the comment we received online so that's been provided to us online since the publication of the agenda. So we just wanted to have it for you for the record. This is the one we received online. And the list of priority projects is the upcoming list of 5 years of how we want to prioritize the federal and state dollars that are available to us in the county. And you may remember last month in June, you adopted the fiscal year 24 through 28 transportation improvement program. So we're already starting up that cycle for next year's. So for next year's TIP. And to get to this point in the process, it really is that well over a year of commitment to get here. So to get all the way to a transportation improvement program, it starts with product development. So we're looking at the products in the long range transportation plan and which ones can move forward from that list. We also have applications that are provided to us from locals on state roads for local initiatives and for transportation alternatives. Those products are vetted and ranked and provided into the list. And so what you're seeing today is the list of priority projects with those 3 major priority sections of the TPA. So you'll see the existing products on the list more towards the top, the ones that are already programmed. You'll see a column in there. It says the funding that's needed. And then all the new ones that are new to the program, you'll see typically on the bottom of the list. And so once this is adopted by the governing board, this list is then provided to the DOT, and the entirety of the state, not just our district, is working towards updating cost estimates statewide, looking at new revenue forecasts, integrating new priorities, not just the MPO, but other priorities they got from locals through other programs and the state needs. And so that they're trying to balance the work program when they're doing that. Once they balance that work program, they provide that draft to the governing board. And that's when you see the district secretary come to present to you all. That's going to occur in October. And during that time frame, we typically have a resolution for you, but in that resolution, there's requests, changes, additions, or deletions. So that's our formal opportunity to let DOT know changes that need to happen to the work program. They try to incorporate those changes, and then they create their final work program for the state. And that work program is then used to create our transportation improvement program. So long process, well over a year. We're always working on multiple TIPs at any point in time. So the product sections we're talking about today is that first sections of the TPA priorities. So major products, state roads, local initiatives, and transportation alternatives. So it doesn't deal with the other products that you'll see on the state system or any other local products or airport or seaport products. So it's just those major TPA priorities, those 3 sections. And a little bit more about these 3 sections. So we have the major products. These come from our LRTP. They're primarily funded with state funds. So state funds need to be spent on state roadways. And so that's the primary revenue source for this one. We also spend some of our federal dollars depending on the cost of those projects, which we've had recently. Some of our federal dollars go towards those state roads. Next is our local initiative products. Those come from our federal funds that we receive from the federal government based on formula, so our population. And then next is transportation alternatives. And so those are ones that can occur on or off the federal aid system. Those go more towards non-motorized transportation. And those are also those formula funds based on population that come to us from the federal government. I'm just going to have a few highlights for you for those three sections that I feel is important to highlight. There's a lot of requests in the backup, so I'm not going to go through all those, just some important ones we felt to brief you on. So the first one's major roadways, major projects in state roadways, typically around $20 million a year in state funding towards this. That does fluctuate based on the cost of projects and other needs, and you'll see that in the next slide here. So some highlights for you in this program. A total additional funding needed to fully program our needs is close to $390 million. We do have some these are major products. We have some products that have some pretty large costs. So the first one still to be funded in and out a year, State Road 7, 60th Street to Northlake, $87 million need. And then we have two sections of Atlantic Avenue. This is the eastern portion from Florida's Turnpike all the way to Jog, total around $55 million in need. There's also a series of US 1 projects that came out of the US 1 corridor study we did a few years back. Those have design funds in there, but looking to get construction funded for a few of those sections, one of them being in Boca Raton, the other one being in West Palm Beach. And there's also a series of additional needs in that list, totaling up to $390 million. So what are our requests in the backup when it comes to the major projects in the state roadways? The first one was provided in the resolution to DOT last year, and this is just the same request this year. So last year, because of some of these cost increases and limited state funding availability, they had to put federal funds on there. And that's those formula funds that we typically like to use towards local initiatives. So our request there is to, when there is state funding that frees up or any other discretionary funding that can free up, that can be put towards those products, we're still requesting that the state do that and then take that federal funds off that and put it back towards our other local initiatives as possible. The next is with the Tri-Rail extension from West Palm Beach to Jupiter. Previously, it's been existing probably for the past 7 years, 8 years in our list of priority products as a PD&E. The PD&E cannot occur until we have operations, maintenance commitments, and that access fee identified. So instead, what we're looking to do is requesting of FDOT to fund the feasibility study in its place to get more of a movement on that and update our needs there. The next one is slightly complicated, but I'll talk through it. Working with FDOT, there may be the opportunity to advance construction of one of the portions of Atlantic Avenue that's just east of the current portion that's going to go into construction next year. So State Road 7 to Lyons Road is set for construction in fiscal year 2024. The section from Lyons Road to the Turnpike is currently in 2027. Speaking with FDOT, they would be able to advance it if the funding is available. So they're looking to find funds to advance that to occur with the other section. So the entire section would be from Atlantic Avenue, from Lyons to the Turnpike, and then also, from State Road 7 all the way to the Turnpike. Heading into local initiatives, these are the ones that are submitted by locals for the federal aid network. Typically around $22 million in federal funds available for this. As I mentioned, sometimes those get used for state roadways. Here's an example of a product that's ongoing right now, Lowson Boulevard and Delray Beach, so shared use pathways. So that's one that's mostly done. There's a few more sections to complete. And our requests on this, on these, first comes with the ones that were on the list last year. So last year, when you saw this list of priority products, there's these 2022 applications, and you can tell based on the year and the rank in the table. So anything with a 22 by it would be 2022. And then the other number is the priority ranking for that year. We had multiple ones that were unfunded in the work program. And so the first priority for you, based on the board's recommendation for these, was to put these at the top of the list for local initiatives to be funded this year. And so we have $15.7 million of unfunded needs here from those priorities from last year. And then new projects. So this is the first time you're seeing these projects. These are our submittals for 2023. There's 8 of them, totaling $23.7 million. A lot of these are pedestrian and bicycle improvements and traffic signals, and then rolling stock for Tri-Rail. And so the total needs there, once ranked in this order, is $23.7 million. So the total request for this section, and these will most likely not all be funded because we don't receive $42 million a year, but $42 million in additional funding that's needed. Other updates for you. In the backup, you'll see the Quiet Zone project. So we're looking to pursue additional funding to upgrade the FEC railroad crossing in Lake Park so that they're Quiet Zone eligible. A few years ago, the board had a priority to fund railroad crossing enhancements all throughout the county so that the locals could then apply for a Quiet Zone designation. This is occurring in North County right now as well, finishing up that. However, on field review for this section in Lake Park, there's additional needs out there so they could for them to establish a Quiet Zone. So we're looking to fund that portion of that in an earlier year so that they can go for a Quiet Zone along with all the other municipalities within the county. The next one, speaking with FDOT, there may be some funds available in an earlier year to advance a project. A good candidate for that funding is the Palm Trend electric buses, which is, I think, their second application for electric buses. They're getting some coming this program this coming year in 2024. This is the second round in 20-1 round, and looking to fund that earlier than 2027. So advancing Palm Trend electric buses to an earlier for that. And that would free up funds in 2027. And one of those other products that we had from the local initiatives list that was unfunded, the first one on that list is Gardens Parkway. And so we're looking to get that funded in an earlier year of 27. And then lastly, transportation alternatives, non-motorized infrastructure, typically around $5 million a year. And we max this out at 1.5 per application. Here's an example of a product a few years ago in Delray Beach. This is shared use pathways and their alleyways. And updates for you. This includes one project from the 2022 list of local initiatives. As I mentioned, a lot of these were unfunded on that list last year. So this is a project that works in eligibility for the transportation alternatives list. There's funding available. So we're working with FDOT to transfer that from local initiatives to transportation alternatives. And that's a combined effort for BOCA and SFRTA to accomplish that project. And then there's 5 new projects from the 2023 cycle of applications for TA. And this all totaled $6.6 million. So these are all new products to the list, the 23-1 to 23-5. That's my summary, so can answer any questions.
All right, I see a couple of cards going up. All right, so we'll start with Mayor Petrola, please. Petrolia.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the list of all the projects that are in the process. There was one in there that is of importance to me. It's in the city that's been unfunded, and this is the project on Barwick Road from Lake Ida to Sable Lakes. It's a small section of road. The reason that it's on there is mainly because it feeds a tremendous number of kids walking to school, and it's a safety issue. So I'm wondering, do we look at that from the standpoint of something getting a priority in order to be able to make sure that we're moving in that direction?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that's 22-5.
Mm-hmm. So the scoring is a scoring that's approved earlier on, and then we use that scoring system towards that.
So third rank then on that list, is that what you were saying?
Based on this, yes.
Okay, all right.
From the unfunded priorities of 2022.
Hopefully we'll be able to get that done, but it's just a concern because of the fact that we actually put guardrails up there. There were cars driving so fast, and these are elementary school kids, and they were just A lot of them are, latchkey kids and they're 5 years old walking down that street by themselves. It's pretty crazy. The second thing I just wanted to mention is the picture that you put up where we did the alleyway. We're actually doing also penetrable surfaces. And if you notice, it's hard to see, but down that alleyway and most of the ones that we're doing over in these neighborhoods, there's artwork that the local residents put up, and it's really interesting and it's cool. So if you ever get the opportunity of coming through, they're really great to just drive down and take a look at what the citizens have done to those alleyways as well. Thank you.
Sounds like a site visit for us. Sounds like a fun site visit sometime.
Absolutely is, and we do parties down there. We'll do a block party on those alleyways because we're not, we're not blocking anybody. It's pretty much for
It's a great use
pedestrian
of space.
Yep, exactly. That's in Osceola Park in case anybody's wanting to know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Before I go on to another card, Ruth, I'm sorry, did we have any public comments?
We did get the public comment online and every board member has a copy printed in front of them.
But no one else is online right now.
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, lovely. All right, thank you so much. All right, Commissioner Diaz?
I wanted to mention something because this is all good and I certainly support it. And I'm gonna vote to support it, but I am, as always, very conscious about West Palm Beach's concerns about the inclusion of the State Road 7 extension. And, of all summers to be talking about it, I think this summer is an interesting one because right now Lake-O elevation is at nearly 15 feet. Over 80% of the lake is covered in toxic cyanobacteria. There's loads, obviously lots of rain. It's obviously extra hot this year. And conditions look really ripe for that to be discharged fairly soon, maybe not imminent, but over the next couple months, I would almost expect it to happen. And I just want to put it out there that when that does happen, that water, that very contaminated, super toxic cyanobacteria water makes its way through the watershed, eventually into Clear Lake, their water source. There's no, once it leaves the lake, there's no spillway. There's no valve, if you will, that you can close off that will protect the rest of the watershed. Once it gets down, to the M Canal and it starts going down there, it will get in their drinking water. And one of the protections that they have is grassy waters. So, transportation wise, is there a need for an extension? I think is debatable. But more importantly, to fragment grassy waters, which is basically Lake Mangonia's and Clear Lake's last ditch protection from these discharges. I think that needs to really be considered, and I'm hoping that one day this $87.5 million gets freed up for other pressing projects. That's it.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the board? No? All right, Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much. I do want to thank Commissioner Diaz. I don't think I could have said it any better myself, so I will leave it there. I won't be voting yes for this today, but I did want to acknowledge the email that we received from Nicholas Bixler. He lives in my district, and for anyone who didn't read it, I'll summarize that he actually lives in West Palm Beach and works in Fort Lauderdale and takes the Tri-Rail because he wants to and not because he has to, and also is taking electric scooter from West Palm to the Tri-Rail. So I really appreciate that we receive these kind of messages because we hope that there's more people like that that are utilizing all of our public transportation, and always good to have input from them about what we could be doing better. I also wanted just to acknowledge the message about the Tri-Rail extension from West Palm to Jupiter. I am very supportive of this. I'm glad that we can turn it into a feasibility study. I wouldn't want to see this fall off the radar, but I think last month in our meeting, we had some representatives from the South counties talking a little bit about the surtax or the penny tax that they were using in order to fund these projects. And I think the reason we have to sort of transition to this feasibility study right now is because we need more time, I guess, essentially also to find the funding for this going forward. So I hope that that is something that we can continue to talk about in this board about, what are we going to do for the future of the funding of these projects that are, like we heard from the other counties, that they have other surtaxes or things that help to pay for it, to make it more efficient, that, you know, every 10 minutes the bus is coming. And so more people want to utilize it because the funding is there to make it more palatable for people that, like Mr. Bixler was telling us, he takes it because he wants to. We should have more people like that, but we have to make everything, you know, run more smoothly, more efficient, have more options for people. So I'm hoping that, I know it's not part of this discussion today, but I just feel like we have to keep talking about it. Where are we going to get the funding from? And so, thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. I don't see any other cards up.
Madam
Um,
Chair, we do have a public comment online.
Okay, great.
Just give me a second to unmute.
Thank you.
him. Okay, Ross, you should be able to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Ross Harness and I live in West Palm Beach as well. And I just want to also comment on State Road 7, the ecological and environmental comments are spot on, but I also just want to bring up that it's my understanding that this has been on, or it says 2004, so it's been quite a while that this has been talked about. And I think that once this is built, the demand is going to quickly overtake the road. And then immediately after it's built, I imagine that we're going to be having the discussion on where do we get the funding to expand it. So I just think that this is an issue that shouldn't even be on this list. And I would at least like to see it deprioritized from the top rank, as I think some of these other issues are more important and that $87 million can go a long way to some other issues. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public or from our board? All right, well, I do want to laud any of the municipalities in the county that did apply for the funds available, whether it's the LI or the TA. A lot of what you're seeing on this list are things that people are asking for and have applied for. So the funding cycle is annual. So if you do have projects, I know for myself, for the city of Palm Beach Gardens, we're doing a lot of stuff on our city roads within our TOD specifically that are being helped with the grants that we've applied for through the TPA. So we're pretty proud of it. And I encourage everyone to be part of that grant application process if you have it within your municipality or in the county. So nothing else. So we're going to go ahead and take a vote. I'm taking a motion first to approve a resolution approving our fiscal year 25 to 29 list of priority projects.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we've got Mayor Pinto and then Mayor Petrolia as our second, and we do not need a roll call vote. So it will actually, or do you want to, should we do a roll call, Paul, on this one? Not required. All right. Seeing as there's a lot of litigation regarding State Road 7, I'm actually more comfortable with the roll call vote, if that's okay with everybody. So if our staff could help, please.
Steve Wilson,
Yes.
Yvette Drucker,
Yes.
Fran Natchless,
Yes.
Shelley Petrolia,
Yes.
Joel Flores,
Yes.
Ronaldo Diaz,
Yes, considering my previous comments.
Joni Brinkman,
Yes.
Deandra Poole,
Yes.
Marcy Woodward,
Yes.
Fred Pinto,
Yes.
Michael Napoleon,
Yes. Yes.
Christy Fox,
No, due to the inclusion of State Road 7.
Chelsea Reed.
Yes.
Thank you. Passed.
So that looks like an 11-1. Motion passes. And I do want to say, I'm sure Mayor Weiss is very, very happy to see Palm Beach County traffic lights on there. That's something I know he's been shaking his fist at for a while. So, all right, so that please do stay. We have our information items, and the first one will be our bus electrification project. So Palm Tran will be presenting on this, please. And we're really excited to hear what's going on. It looks like we have Executive Director Clinton Forbes. Hello, sir.
Okay, there you go. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Transportation Planning Agency. Thank you for this opportunity to present an update on our very robust plan to transition to zero emissions. This will be a historical moment for Palm Beach County because we will be the only public transit agency in Palm Beach County that has transition to zero emissions or electrified vehicles for public transit. I also am joined with Christian Lindano, who's the project manager. And he will also share in this presentation. This is our agenda, just to talk to you a little bit about our emissions plan, our master plan, some of the service modeling we've been doing, our technology assessment, and finally our selection of the bus builder, the electric bus builder. So we are planning a phased implementation of the battery electric fleet to reduce Palm Beach County's carbon footprint. As identified in our transit development plan, we refer to it as a Accelerate 2031. It's our priority number 2 in that plan. And phased is the operative word. We want to ensure that our transition is very thoughtful and very deliberate, but also aggressive. So we are going to do a phased implementation, not a turnover, where we essentially replace all of our diesel vehicles with electric vehicles. That would be impossible to do anyway, but it is a phased implementation. And it's important to right off the bat to thank the Transportation Planning Agency for the initial funding to begin our transition. As you can see, we're in your program. You had an earlier discussion about the additional funding to be moved up in 27. So we appreciate the support and the partnership, Ms. Nielsen. And we'd like to continue support as we continue to transition. Very expensive proposition to transition from diesel to electric vehicles. But this is the initial money that we will be doing that starting next year. So thank you, TPA. This is really not new technology. In Asia, specifically China, which is probably about 3 to 4 times the population of the United States. Of course, they are dealing with the greenhouse issues, and they have 500,000 electric buses that are in operations today. And as you can see in North America, they're a little over 2,000, in Europe, 4,500. So not a new technology, a technology that's been used across the world. Of course, the majority of the electric vehicles in the United States are on the West Coast, where most of those areas are non-attainment, and they have certain EPA requirements. And it's great that we have clear air here in Florida, but we need to begin to work now to ensure that we continue to attain quality air in our area. So in Florida, there are several transit properties that have begun to move towards electrifying their fleet. Star Metro and Tallahassee, which have several electric vehicles in operations. There are 22 vehicles in operations, a very small fleet of 66 vehicles. The Jacksonville Transportation Authority has introduced electric vehicles. RTS in Gainesville, Orlando Lynx in Orlando, Central Florida, they have 14 electric vehicles in operations. The Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority in Tampa, and of course, Broward and Miami-Dade. So we are, I often like to say with certain technology, I don't want to be on the bleeding edge nor the cutting edge, but I want to be fast followers. So we can learn from many of our peers' mistakes, especially with this very expensive proposition. So we have been learning, right? Our neighbors to the south, we put together a little team to go down to Broward County to look at their program and learn from them. They have, I think, about 20 buses in service, electric buses, and they have an order of about 200 electric buses So they are moving quickly. They have a goal to not purchase any more diesel buses going forward. So they are really committed to transitioning to zero emission vehicles. This is our master fleet electrification plan. There are 5 components of the plan. We've completed our fleet modeling, our zero emissions transition plan, which was required by the Federal Transit Administration. And next will be infrastructure planning and development, where we'll be working, closely with the power company, Florida Power and Light, and our bus builder. And so our goal is to transition 25% of our diesel fleet to electric fleet by 2032. And so this is our transition plan. We have 150 diesel buses currently. Many of those buses, they continue to have federal interest in them because, of course, we purchase those vehicles with federal dollars. And the federal government essentially says, if you're going to purchase our vehicles using federal dollars, you have to keep them for 12 years or 500,000 miles. So we cannot dispose of those vehicles until we exhaust all federal interest. So this is our plan. And we are hopeful that somewhere around 26, 27, we can make a similar commitment that Broward has made, which is to stop purchasing diesel vehicles and purchase only electric vehicles. And here's our service modeling. I'd like to ask Christian Ladano to come up and talk about our service modeling and next steps. Christian.
Thank you, Mr. Forbes. Good morning. Morning, Madam Chair, board members. Here I am again, talking about electric vehicles, very exciting. So the second component of our master electrification plan is the service modeling, which we recently completed working with WSP. This service modeling examined the feasibility of operating Palm Trans current routes with electric buses based on various operational parameters. So we have buses that leave at 4 a.m. our facility, don't come back until 11 p.m. at night, running a little bit north of 200 miles in a day, some of those. So we have to identify, or we had to identify which one of those trip assignments can be easily switch for an electric bus, and which ones need something that in this industry is called opportunity charging or in-route charging to keep the bus going throughout the day. So of course, we wanted to prioritize the ones that is slightly easier and safer to electrify first as the technology is evolving, and then eventually getting to those routes and to those trip assignments that are a little bit longer and a little bit more challenging to electrify. So our consultant WSP implemented their proprietary lightning bolt modeling software to determine which Palm Trans bus blocks, or pretty much the bus assignment for the day, are the lowest hanging fruit for early electrification. This process consisted of ingesting Palm Trans service data, such as hours of operation, service miles, and number of buses. Then based on established operating parameters such as topography, battery capacity, service efficiency, determine each block performance. So if pretty much, their software, we put all of our service today. So if we were to today switch all of our diesel buses, put the electric buses, which buses will make it throughout the day? Which buses will run out of power and not be able to complete their service for the day? So that will tell us where we can start first. Of course, the routes that can 100% performance in one charge, we send them fully charged in the morning. They can complete the entire trip safely, keeping 20% safety buffer, because we don't want the buses to get like to 0% battery, right? Like everybody, I hope you don't wait until your phone is 0% before you plug it. So the same thing, we want to make sure the buses have a safe buffer to complete their trip. So this resulted in a strategic phasing of each current trip to battery electric bus performance technology. Also included some strategies for opportunity charging in some areas of the county, potentially our intermodal transit center downtown West Palm Beach. That could be a really good area to have those in-route chargers. And in essence, in a future with those opportunity charges, you could just keep the bus running 24/7 because there's really no need to come back and fuel. Let me go to the next slide. So here is a graph that shows the technology forecast, this battery electric technology. So although currently there is a portion of trips that cannot be operated in one single charge, the technology forecast as represented in this graph shows that 100% of puncture service will be able to be operated in a single charge by 2048. This aligns very well with that goal, very conservative goal of 25% transition to electric buses by 2032 was presented to you by Mr. Forbes. So we're, again, watching the technology very closely. We just see year after year, the range for these buses keeps growing dramatically. The buses that we're looking to purchase, and Mr. Forbes will speak about that a little bit more in a few minutes, are reaching 300 miles in a day. So that's significant. In the past, the first buses would only be able to do, we're only able to do 70 miles. So it's definitely growing. So at this point, I'm going to pass it back to Mr. Forbes to speak about our technology selection.
Thank you, Christian. So, we've done a lot of investigation, a lot of conversations with our peers, the bus builders. In 2019, we met with the vendors, but we went into a time warp with COVID. So we weren't able to make a selection at that time, but in 2019, it's sort of a good thing that we didn't make a selection at that time, because as Christian mentioned, the technology wasn't where it is today. I mean, we had buses that would only do 150 miles on a single charge, and now we have buses could do potentially double that in just a few years. And every day, almost every year, we see this technology evolve to actually provide more range. So sort of the longer we've waited, the better outcome that we're the better position we're in as we begin to purchase. So, I believe that, when you take out your government checkbook and you're going to purchase assets of, $1 million or more, which these buses, that's the cost of them. We have to ensure that each time we do that, we get the best in technology, the best in safety, the best in aesthetics, and the best in performance. And so we're very deliberate about that. And that's what we did with these technology presentations, where we allowed in 2019 these vendors to come in, do their dog and pony show. We rode the bus, and really it was a learning opportunity for us. And just recently, as we begin to make our selection, we did it again with the 3 bus builders, where we this time we really wanted to make it a partnership between the TPA, county engineering, all these stakeholders, the Office of Resiliency, our unions. We all, basically we're in a forum. We listened to their presentations, and I have made a selection of the bus builder that we'll go with. And it's been great in Florida because, with the Florida Public Transit Association that I chair, along with, all the other transit properties, we developed a purchasing consortium, which allows, transit agencies to essentially pick a vendor off that consortium and enter in a contract. It's a state contract. So it really has streamlined the purchasing process for these vehicles. And this is just a photo of some of the demos that we've done, our forums, talking to the different vendors. And we selected Proterra. And so we are going to enter into an engagement letter with Proterra. Proterra offers a vehicle that's 5 times more efficient than a diesel bus. When you look at miles per gallon, in MPGE is the electric conversion. You have compressed natural gas at 2.8 MPG, diesel at 3.6. It's like, man, that diesel bus is pretty inefficient, right? Hybrid at 5.1, and so 25.1 MPGe is what an electric vehicle offers. As you can see, up to 230,000 pounds reduction in greenhouse gases and operational savings of about $400,000. And our technicians are going to be trained to transition to working on electronics in this bus. And they're thrilled because in a diesel bus, the difference of maintenance between an electric and diesel bus is with essentially, for example, the diesel engine, fuel filters, turbochargers, charged air coolers, crankcase, breather filter, tune-ups, diesel exhaust fuel, that goes away. And so essentially what our technicians are doing are more visual inspections and technology inspections on the battery, the infrastructure of the vehicle. So these savings are essentially real in terms of life cycle costs for maintenance. And Proterra is the largest electric bus builder in the country, and they have the largest footprint of electric vehicles purchased by multiple agencies across the United States, including, one of the brightest universities in the country, Harvard. They were smart enough to select Proterra. So we think we're on the right, path. So Proterra is the vendor we selected. And again, our master fleet electrification plan, here are the next steps. Again, we've completed fleet modeling, our zero emissions transmission plan, and we will begin very soon talking to FPL, working with our vendor and our consultant to purchase our first electric vehicle and install the infrastructure. So we're looking for that ribbon cutting in 2024, and we'll make sure you are notified. Thank you, Madam Chair, members.
All right, sometimes when you present, I mean, my God, I don't even know what to say right now. This is so exciting. Do I have any comments from the public?
Yes.
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, and so I see Mayor Wilson has his card right up.
Thank you, Mr. Forbes. I have faith in what you're gonna do with your staff, but by 2032, you said, I think that would be the total conversion with all the vehicles?
25% of the vehicles.
And the glaze would be last. So I'm assuming by that time, if it's 300 miles, maybe 600 miles by that time.
Right. I'm not going to say the glaze is going to be last.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that.
Will there be electric charging station identified in the glaze?
Yes.
To accommodate, and that should happen?
Yes, that definitely will. That would only make sense for us to have a charging station, considering, the distance east and west just to get to the Glades. We'll definitely have a charging system in the Glades area. Mhm.
All right, thank you, sir. Mayor Pinto.
Yes, first of all, Mr. Forbes, I want to applaud you and your team on moving forward with this initiative. I think this puts Palm Beach County Transit into a kind of a leadership position on this issue. I think it's vitally important for all levels of local government to look at this transition process. Got a question though. Do you think, you mentioned the reality of we're going through a phase where it's exponential improvements that are happening somewhat rapidly on the electric vehicle space in general. So do you think you might wind up doing things sooner rather than later, notwithstanding the requirement we have for the government purchased buses?
You mean accelerating our replacement?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a possibility. I really do. Of course, it's going to take funding. I think that as the demand increases, the supply and demand effect will begin to drive down the high cost of these vehicles. For example, a diesel bus is not cheap. It's $760,000 for a 40-foot bus. And these electric vehicles currently are anywhere between, depending on, the technology you put inside the vehicle could range from, 900,000 to 1.2 million. We start seeing the stabilization of that price and some reduction. And as that costs come down, we believe we can accelerate, but it's an extremely expensive proposition right now in terms of purchasing these vehicles.
All right, well, good luck, and I'm sure you're going to be very successful with this initiative.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We've got Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Forbes. A couple of questions on the federal government has the requirement that we keep the diesel buses for 12 years, 500,000 miles.
Yes.
Is there going to be a similar type of requirement on these buses? As far as the EVs, or is there any connection between those two?
That's a very good question. Is it the same requirement? Yeah, it's 12 years, 500,000 miles,
Even on the electric vehicle?
even on the electric. Good question.
And just to play devil's advocate, you mentioned the comparison of the maintenance cost with the diesel versus the EVs, and there's not all the moving components and everything that are in there. However, do you know the comparison between that and the change?
It's a very good observation. It's a very good question. These are some of the estimates that have been provided by the vending community. One of the things that we don't have, like we have with the diesel buses, is experience and time. In Asia, they have that. We don't have those numbers, but what is the true comparison and cost savings? When you factor in the battery. Now, the battery on this particular, and one of the reasons we went with Proterra, it offers a 12-year warranty. And so no other vendor was offering actually a 12-year warranty. And so we also will, talk about, as technology improves, and, the battery technology is definitely going to improve from today, 10 years from now, we'll be able to have it to be scalable in terms of cost, where we can replace those batteries with the best in class. So to your question, we truly believe there are some savings. Pinpointing that savings at 400,000 or more or less is very difficult right now until we have that experience with having those vehicles and the time we need to spend, maintaining them, viewing the battery. But the vending community, and I think practically, with all of the moving components of a diesel bus, we do believe there's going to be some savings.
Okay, and last question, if I can. I know I don't have a Tesla, but I have friends that do, and I drive them, and I know that when you let off the accelerator part, it kind of goes into a charge, and it actually does wear on the tires a little quicker. Is this a similar technology on these buses so that the tires don't last as long? Or do they have different technology for recharging the battery?
Right. We know that there is, Christian, if you want to, there is a regenerative component of braking that charges the battery. We do I think we do understand that the tires are going to have to be a little more expensive, and we're investigating that now.
It's specific to the bus, how, the manufacturer built the bus. But both, and we spoke with all of our peer agencies. We had an electrification forum with all the agencies in Florida, and we started asking those questions. What are you experiencing with your maintenance? And fortunately, they're confirming that they're seeing the savings in maintenance, but changing brake pads, you don't have to change brakes as often as you do with a diesel bus. But yes, the vehicle has regenerative braking, where and that is why the training is so important with the drivers, because if you don't know how to use that, then you're going to deploy the battery much quicker than you could if you're learn how to use that where the bus is regenerating the energy. And I want to just add a comment to your first question, is that our batteries, our goal is to have them fully warranty. So if the battery performance goes below 80% performance, is up to the vendor's cost to replace it. So they come to our site, they replace it. So for the life of the bus that we're responsible for the bus will be warranty, as well as the main component, the heart of the bus, which is the battery. So that'll be taken care of as well.
So, oh, sorry, one follow-up.
That's why we're here. Go,
okay.
please, take your
Um,
time.
So to that point, whenever, I mean, because technology is advancing, if they get to a 400 or 500 mile battery, do we have the option to upgrade at that point? And with some sort of maybe a prorated amount, is that part of the agreement?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be working towards that now. I have not signed the engagement that we're going to be negotiating the bus build. And yes, that will be a part of the consideration. But I want you to rest assured, I started my presentation out with, to be extremely judicious about how we move forward with replacing our diesel buses with electric. It is still relatively new technology. And so we're not replacing, 50% of our fleet. We're taking a very incremental approach to replacement. So with that, as we replace, we're also learning.
Well, I appreciate it. I look forward to this. It's just like with any technology, your iPhone, as soon as you get it, it's outdated. So, but I do know with EVs, a lot of it is the batteries and that's the best part that we have for upgrading, and you can keep the shell of the bus and have the technology in the future. So thank you.
Exactly.
Great
Thank you,
question.
Commissioner.
All right, don't go anywhere. Our general counsel has a question, and after that, we'll move on to Commissioner Poole.
When the batteries are changed out after 12 years, what happens to the batteries?
Do you know, Christian, what the vendor does with them? We can follow up with that on that question. I don't have the answer to that.
In
But that's a
general,
good
though, that question is really a universal question that the whole industry is trying to grapple with now as we move towards the EV environment. There's no definitive answer, but it is an issue that has to be addressed on a more, I would say, global level for all this entire industry. So.
All right, so thank you so much for your question. We're moving on to Commissioner Poole, and then we've got Commissioner Diaz. And if you do have a comment, please put your card up.
I'll be brief. Mr. Forbes, you mentioned the total savings. Was it based, I don't remember the number of 433,000 was based on what number of buses? Was it 3?
It's a annual year of savings on one diesel bus versus the maintenance of one diesel bus versus an electric bus. Lifespan? Okay, so 12 years. It's a 12-year savings, over 12 years, diesel versus electric.
Oh, okay, so over 12.
And to that point, these builders really just have started introducing electric buses 2015, 2015. So it's an estimate by the vendor community. And of course, they're gonna be as liberal in that estimate as possible because they want you to just when they want to sell an electric vehicle. But we, as Christian mentioned, we have been talking to our peers that have had the vehicles since 2017, and they have actual documentation that there are pretty significant savings in maintenance.
Okay. All right, great. Commissioner Diaz.
I can't speak specifically to how Proterra does it, but in general, to Paul's question about what happens to the batteries after, that is a conversation that's happening a lot. And from an engineering perspective, a lot of these batteries, when they degrade over time like anything else. But I think what we're seeing in general is a lot of these batteries, whether from the EVs, they get to a point where they can't power the bus, but they can still be used in other applications. So there are like companies out there that acquire these batteries and find, there's all kinds of like home solar generators and things that you can apply them to, which is really important. And it's really exciting to hear about buses going EV because it is a very valid concern about where the materials from these technologies are coming from. Obviously, fossil fuels are the worst for the environment, but batteries are not immune. A lot of those metals like lithium and you have graphite. You look at where graphite's coming from. It's like the Coosa River in Alabama, and it's a huge environmental impact. So seeing it applied to buses is really where it needs to go, because you're going to get more people per ounce of that metal, if you will, than one person per their individual EV car. So it's really exciting stuff, and I'm happy we're finally getting there.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments, follow-up questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, this one.
Please do.
I would be remiss not to mention that, and I've been on this board for many years. Since Mr. Forbes taken over as we used to call it Palm Train, but in the Glades, go Glades. I will tell you, he's a jewel, a champion of all champions to make sure that inclusion for Palm Beach County. Because at one point in time, the Glades, don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but we was being neglected. But under his leadership and his staff, the Glades community, we almost getting curbside service. And I want to say thank you. Thank you.
You really do. Thank you, Mayor.
Excellent way to end it. All right. Oh, and are you all set, Commissioner Diaz? Okay, great. Any other comments come in from the public? Thank you all so much for that and for all the work you've done. And we want to congratulate you on doing such a collaborative job as well for bringing in the TPA and so many other stakeholders. And it's exciting. So we, on behalf of our board, we say thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members.
Okay. Do we have any other partner agencies that would like to provide an update?
No,
All
Madam
right.
Chair.
No. All right, wonderful. Do we have any other questions or comments from our board today? All right, so we'll move on to our administrative items. So right now, we have just some basic information. We've just got some routine TPA reports, our public involvement activity report, the FDOT scheduling report, quarterly fiscal report for Q3. Does anyone have a comment on any of our administrative items that are listed on your agenda today? No? All right, so again, happy birthday to everybody. Our next meeting will be September 21st. Don't forget though, August 17th, we'll be here again. Extraordinarily important meeting as well. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.